the internet really is used everywhere at this point, and it is used extensively for organizational purposes politically. So when I first started working a decade ago, this was right before the Arab Spring happened, but the color revolutions had already happened in the post-Soviet world, and we had started to have some inkling that the internet had mattered in the color revolutions, but it was still early enough days that it was sort of hit or miss on whether or not this was something that mattered. Like the internet penetration rates in places like Ukraine in 2005 were sort of on the order of like maybe 10%, 15%. So they were still very early in the internet age, so to speak, in that area of the world. At this point, it's very clear that the internet matters. And increasingly, as someone that studies both Russia and the internet, basically, Putin has been a godsend to my career. He has been wonderful, however bad he has been for democracy in other parts of the world. I think one of the big ways that it's become relevant is in the early days of the internet, we were very, very optimistic that the internet was sort of this magic democratizing tool where everybody's going to be able to communicate, and then magically people can organize and skip 3 steps, and then dictators are going to fall all over the world. And we did see that to a certain degree. Like, for instance, over the last 20 years or so, the level of dictatorships collapsing has been almost twice the rate it was in the previous 30 years. And the previous 30 years kind of had that whole little 1989 thing happen in the middle of it also. And so have seen this growth in people being able to collectively organize. But there's also been a backlash effect where very intelligent dictators are able to use this technology to make themselves more stable than ever. And China and Russia are both perfect examples of this, where they are highly, highly competent at using these technologies in very, very, very sneaky ways, I would almost say, where it's not just a simple matter of making the police state better so much as doing things they were never able to do before. And so one great example that I like out of Russia in particular is this potholes example, where in Yekaterinburg, basically the mayor was stealing the whole road budget for years on end, and they were just having these massive potholes that were like 5 feet wide and swallowing cars, and people were so fed up with it, naturally, they start organizing. But the way they organized in this case was they organized online. They had dedicated both Facebook and VK groups. And what they would do is they had these stencils made of the mayor's face. And they would go out in the middle of the night, spray paint his face over the potholes. So like the pothole was his gaping mouth. And then they would post the pictures of it online, and then they would organize the next night's activities. And this infuriated the mayor naturally, and so he started sending out the street cleaning crews earlier and earlier, to the point that he was spending more on street cleaning than he was able to steal from the budget, so it was cheaper to just fix the potholes. Now, this is on one hand this like great story of like citizen organization and action getting responsiveness. But if we reverse like 30, 40 years ago, this isn't what would have happened. What would have happened is over the long term, people would get angrier and angrier till it hits a boiling point, and you get the 500,000 people in the streets of the capital demanding real change. And instead, what we see happening is sort of these small little changes that, if dictators are good at what they do, they can make the system run more smoothly and keep people more content, because they get to solve their information problem and figure out what it is that people are unhappy about and fix it before they're actually boiling out into the streets in mass. So ironically, what we've got is people are able to organize better than ever, which basically means that really smart dictators can take care of their moderate demands before they become extreme demands.